It may be difficult to hear, but this is the truth. The moment a woman withdraws her love, the fortress of a man's ego begins to tremble. He will pretend he is unmoved. He will wear the mask of indifference, but deep inside, his shadow stirs with panic. For love withdrawn is not merely affection lost. It is the collapse of the mirror in which he once saw himself reflected. And here lies the haunting question. When the mirror cracks, what remains of the man who is only alive in its reflection? Feel this shadow stirring in your own unspoken choices. You have seen it in their eyes, the void that opens when your warmth turns cold, when your silence cuts deeper than 1,000 words. In the labyrinth of male desire, love is never simply about love. It is a battlefield of power, validation, and survival. Carl Jung spoke of the anima, the feminine image within the male psyche. When you love him, you embody that inner goddess. You give him a sense of wholeness, a taste of completion. But when you step away, he is left staring into the abyss of his own incompleteness. He confronts not just your absence, but the fragments of himself he can no longer deny. This is why your withdrawal feels to him like death, because in truth, it is a kind of death. The death of the illusion he carried that he could take and take without ever losing. Do you feel the weight of this? The power hidden in absence, sharper than presence, colder than fire. The more you withdraw, the more power you hold. Men will often mask this collapse with anger, arrogance, or silence. They will accuse you of betrayal, of cruelty, of indifference. But beneath the surface, the reality is simpler, darker. He is not grieving you. He is grieving the loss of the man he thought he was when bathed in your love. Without your reflection, his ego starves. And here you stand, the sovereign woman who holds in her silence what no force can fabricate, the power to force him to face himself. Consider this. The woman who texts endlessly, begging for scraps of attention, only fuels his arrogance. But the woman who withdraws not out of spite, but out of sovereignty, awakens his deepest fear. The fear of irrelevance, the fear of emptiness, the fear of himself. This is why your detachment is more dangerous than your devotion. For devotion feeds his illusion, detachment starves it, and starvation is merciless. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. To withdraw love is to withdraw attachment, to step into mastery of one's own desire. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you stop pouring your energy into his void, you reclaim your throne. And he feels it. Do not doubt that. Even in silence, he feels the absence like a blade across the soul. For men are not haunted by what they possess, they are haunted by what they can no longer touch. Now listen closer. Every man has a shadow he refuses to face. The part of him that fears weakness, dependency, insignificance. Your love once masked it. But when you pull back, you strip him bare before his own hidden demons. He is forced to confront what Jung called the terrifyingly real inner man. And most cannot endure that confrontation without trembling. So he will fight. He will try to lure you back, not always with kindness, but often with manipulation, with anger, with control. Because your absence is not just a loss of affection, it is a loss of identity. And here lies your secret strength. You are not just a woman in his life. You are the mirror of his unconscious. You are the queen who reveals whether he is a man at all, or only a boy chasing shadows. But beware, this power is not without cost. To withdraw love is to awaken demons. And once awake, they do not easily return to sleep. Do you dare to see what happens when the silence becomes permanent? When the mirror does not return? For the darkest chamber is yet to be opened. When the woman withdraws her love, a strange inversion takes place. The man who once seemed untouchable, who wore his confidence like armor, now finds himself naked before the silence. He does not collapse immediately. No, the ego is a cunning liar. First, it whispers, "She will return." She always does. He clings to this illusion as if it were a lifeline. But as days turn to weeks, as the silence stretches like an infinite labyrinth, the mask begins to crack. What happens when a man loses the mirror of feminine love? He becomes a wanderer in his own mind, circling shadows he cannot escape. Jung taught that the feminine is the bridge to a man's soul, the anima that breathes life into his depths. Without it, he is not whole. He is only fragments. A king with no kingdom, a warrior with no battle, a shadow of the self he once performed for you. And you, in your silence, force him to face that truth. Do you see now? Absence does not weaken you. Absence crowns you. The less you give, the more he feels the abyss. The more you pull away, the more his shadow devours him. But here is the cruelty of the psyche. The man does not recognize this suffering as the gift it truly is. Instead, he lashes out against it. He tells himself that you are cold, heartless, cruel. He projects his emptiness onto you because he cannot yet endure looking into the mirror of his own weakness. Projection, Jung's most piercing concept. The man cannot meet his shadow within, so he casts it upon you. Suddenly, you are the one who abandoned, betrayed, destroyed. In truth, all you did was stop carrying his illusion. Do you feel the shift in power? He once believed you needed him. Now he sees that it was he who was addicted to your presence. Addiction disguised as love. Dependency masquerading as dominance. And still his pride resists. He will not admit this hunger. He may flaunt other women not out of desire but out of desperation to prove that he still has control. He may drown himself in work, in alcohol, in noise, anything to silence the echo of your absence. But it never works, because silence cannot be drowned. It follows him like a shadow at noon, inescapable, merciless, unrelenting. This is where the Stoics spoke truth that burns. The only control a man has is over himself. Not over you, not over the tides of love, not over the movements of your soul. Only himself. But how many men truly grasp this? How many can look into the abyss of rejection and rise with dignity instead of collapse with rage? And you, the sovereign feminine, must understand this. His collapse is not your burden. His shadow is not your prison. His addiction to your love is not your responsibility. The crown you wear is forged in detachment. Now imagine this scene. A man lies awake at night, staring at his phone. He hovers over your name, debating whether to send a message. Pride whispers don't, fear whispers do. Hours pass. His chest burns with words he cannot release. And in that torment, you see the truth. It was never your voice that chained him, it was always your silence. Absence has become his master. Look closer into the shadow, because it already lives inside you. The more you understand it, the less it controls you. This is your path to sovereignty. To recognize that withdrawal is not weakness, but strategy. That silence is not surrender, but command. But the labyrinth is deeper still. For when the man finally faces the void of your absence, something far darker begins to surface, not mere longing, but obsession. The hunger to possess what cannot be possessed. The desperate attempt to reclaim the mirror, even if it shatters him completely. And it is there, in that desperate obsession, that the true danger begins. For the mirror is cracked, but the pieces have not yet fallen. Obsession is the shadow's final cry before collapse. When love is withdrawn, the man no longer sees you as a woman, but as the symbol of everything he has lost within himself. You become the forbidden key, the unattainable flame, the haunting crown just out of reach. He tells himself he needs closure, he needs answers, he needs one last word. But beneath these excuses lies the naked truth. He needs you to save him from himself. And here is the paradox. The more he reaches, the more he falls. For what he chases is not you, but the part of his soul that he abandoned long ago. Jung named this the process of projection. He does not love you as you are. He loves the reflection of his lost anima within you. You were never just a woman to him. You were his unconscious made flesh. And now that you have withdrawn, he is desperate not for your body, but for his own lost wholeness. This is why obsession festers. He cannot integrate the shadow on his own, so he clings to you, the mirror. He may stalk, beg, manipulate, even rage. Not because he truly values you, but because he fears the emptiness that your absence exposes. His love, once tender, becomes a consuming fire, and the fire, uncontrolled, seeks to devour. Do you feel the cold clarity of this truth? Your withdrawal awakens not only his fear, but his hunger. And hunger in the shadow is never gentle. Many women mistake this hunger for passion. They confuse obsession with depth, control with care. But make no mistake, when his eyes burn with desperation, it is not love you see. It is the terror of a boy staring into a cracked mirror, begging it to heal him. This is why your silence is the ultimate test. For the weak man, it breeds obsession. For the strong man, it breeds transformation. The weak will spiral deeper into control, blame, manipulation. The strong, though they are few, will face their reflection, integrate their shadow, and rise as sovereign beings in their own right. And here lies the cruel beauty of feminine withdrawal. It reveals the truth of the man before you. Does he rise or does he rot? Does he confront his darkness or does he drown in it? Your silence becomes the crucible. Consider the Stoic lesson. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The man who obsesses suffers not because of your absence, but because of the fantasies he has built upon it. He imagines your return, your rejection, your betrayal, your embrace, all ghosts of his own making. Meanwhile, you remain still, detached, sovereign. And in that stillness, his mind becomes his tormentor. And do you recognize your power now? The less you move, the more his world spins. The less you speak, the louder his imagination screams. This is the paradox of feminine dominance. Your strength is revealed not in pursuit, but in restraint. But remember this, obsession, once ignited, can burn dangerously close. A man consumed by shadow may lash out, not because of who you are, but because of what you symbolize, the freedom he cannot touch. And so the labyrinth twists darker still. Do you dare to walk deeper into this maze? For within it lies the harshest revelation of all. When a man is stripped of your love, he does not merely lose you. He loses the illusion that he ever controlled you. And that loss, the collapse of control, is the wound that bleeds most violently. But we are not yet at the deepest chamber. For beyond obsession lies something colder, more final, more dangerous. The confrontation with absolute silence. And silence, once it becomes eternal, does not merely wound. It kills. Silence, it is the final verdict, the one sentence no man can appeal. Words can be debated, actions excused, promises reimagined. But silence leaves no door open, no pathway back. It is not rejection alone, it is erasure. A cold reminder that his power over you was always an illusion. When a woman withdraws her love fully, she births silence that cannot be broken. And in that silence, the man is left to confront the starkest reality. She does not need him. Not his approval, not his protection, not even his presence. The bond he thought eternal is revealed as conditional, fragile, bound to her will, not his. Do you see the terror of this? For a man who has built his identity on being needed, silence is annihilation. It is not only that you are gone, it is that he is irrelevant. And irrelevance is the one wound the male ego cannot heal easily. Jung once warned that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Silence forces this terror upon him. With no words to soothe, no gestures to reinterpret, he is left with only himself, naked, unshielded, and haunted by the reflection he long avoided. He stares into the cracked mirror, and for the first time sees his shadow unfiltered. This is why many men cannot bear silence. They would rather provoke conflict than face it. Better to be hated than ignored, better to be cursed than forgotten. For hatred still affirms existence, but silence denies it entirely. Have you felt this shift before? The moment you stopped explaining, stopped arguing, stopped giving second chances, did you notice how quickly he panicked? How suddenly his arrogance faltered? This is the secret of silence. It does not fight, it does not plead, it does not explain. It simply removes the mirror. And in that void, he unravels. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a crown. It is the embodiment of sovereignty. By withholding words, you remind him that you were never his possession, only his reflection. He was addicted to the light you cast upon him, and now that it has gone dark, he cannot escape the shadows closing in. And yet this silence is not merely a punishment. It is an initiation. For the rare man, silence becomes the threshold of transformation. He will rage, he will despair, he will grasp, but then, perhaps, he will surrender. Not to you, but to himself. He will face the anima within, not as an external woman to possess, but as a part of his own soul to embrace. This is individuation, the path Jung described as the integration of the shadow, the reconciliation of opposites. But few men walk this path. Most are consumed before they arrive. And you, do you understand your role now? You are not only the beloved, not only the one who withdraws. You are the threshold, the labyrinth itself, the silence that either destroys him or compels him to rise. The Stoics would call this acceptance of fate. Epictetus taught that freedom is found not in controlling others, but in mastering the self. If he learns this lesson, silence will not kill him, it will rebirth him. He will step out of the ashes, no longer chained to the illusion that love is possession. But should he fail, the silence will devour him. He will seek distractions, he will lose himself in shallow conquests, he will run from the mirror until the end. And all the while, your absence will echo louder than any presence he chases. Do you dare to hold this silence longer? To resist the temptation to soothe, to explain, to soften the blow? For only in silence does sovereignty reveal its sharpest edge. And yet, deeper still, there is one more chamber in this descent. Beyond silence, beyond obsession, beyond despair lies the darkest truth of all. The truth of sovereignty unchained. And once it is revealed, nothing, no man, no shadow, no crown, will ever bind you again. Sovereignty unchained. This is the final revelation, the chamber hidden beneath every mirror, every silence, every shadow. When a woman withdraws her love and does not return, she steps into a power that no man can grant and no man can take away. It is the rebirth of the self, no longer bound to his reflection, no longer enslaved to his need. The mirror that once defined him now belongs to you. No longer intact, no longer serving his ego, but shattered into fragments that reveal something deeper. Your independence, your mystery, your crown forged from shadow and flame. You are no longer the mirror of his anima, you are your own wholeness. Do you feel this? The shift from absence as strategy to absence as liberation. Early silence is a weapon. Final silence is freedom. What began as withdrawal becomes transcendence. You no longer pull away to make him suffer. You pull away because his suffering is irrelevant. His collapse is no longer your concern. His shadow is his own to master or to drown within. This is the harshest truth men face when love is withdrawn. It is not the loss of your affection that destroys them. It is the realization that you never belonged to them in the first place. They mistook reflection for possession, warmth for ownership, devotion for dependence. And when you rise in sovereignty, the illusion dies forever. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming whole within oneself. For you, withdrawal is not the end of love, but the end of illusion. The anima they projected onto you returns to them, whether they integrate it or remain fractured. And you stand free, detached, unshaken. The Stoics would name this freedom the highest form of mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." By withdrawing love, you cease trying to control what cannot be controlled. You release the burden of carrying his ego, his projections, his weakness. You step back into the only dominion that matters, your own soul. And he feels it. He knows it. Deep in his shadow, he senses that you have crossed a threshold he cannot follow. He may rage, he may beg, he may seek to bind you again, but you are no longer within reach. Sovereignty has no leash. Picture the crown now. In the beginning, it was fragile, resting upon your head but easily shaken by his words, his promises, his games. Now, forged in silence, it is unmovable. It glows not because of his attention, but because of your detachment. A crown that does not ask, does not bend, does not fall. And what of the man? His path is his own. Some will disintegrate into the labyrinth, chasing mirrors that no longer exist. Others, rare but real, will face themselves fully, accept the death of illusion, and emerge sovereign in their own right. Only then, and only as equals, can they stand before you without chains, without games, without shadows unacknowledged. But until then, remember this. Your silence is the threshold, your absence the crucible, your sovereignty the verdict. You are not the reflection, you are the source. And so the cycle ends where it began, but transformed. The mirror no longer defines you. The silence no longer restrains you. The shadow no longer frightens you. You have integrated what men fear most: the power of detachment, the freedom of choice, the cold beauty of the sovereign feminine. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses. Now step into your power, or remain in the dark.